When I was a new teacher, I felt like I had to present this version of myself to my students that had everything all figured out and everything under control. I thought that if I didn't present that version of myself, then they were going to walk all over me. And it turns out that what they walked all over was an obviously inauthentic version of myself that I was presenting. And my classroom management and my classroom in general improved by leaps and bounds when I realized that my biggest resource in the classroom is the students. And when we're having a problem, when we're not sure what's going on, when there's been a behavior issue, we can talk about it. We can sit down together and talk about what's not working, because more often than not, if it's not working for me, it's not working for them. And they can tell me what's not working, why it's not working, and what they need instead. Some of my best classrooms have been ones where half of the procedures and norms have been created by students telling me what they need and coming up with these amazing solutions that I never would have thought of on my own. And when they think of the solutions themselves, there's no struggle to try to get students to do the things that you want them to do, because they're the ones who've decided they're going to do it. All of us as human beings want to feel some control over our lives. So the more that we give control to students in the classroom, the more that they're happy and willing to engage in the things that you want them to do, because they feel like they have some choice in what they're doing, when they're doing, why they're doing it, and so on. One of my best examples of this was a classroom where for some reason, every day I'd be giving instruction and it was like a switch would go off and they would switch from listening intently to talking like I wasn't even there. It wasn't the gradual ramp up that would sometimes happen of chattering or anything that's sort of more normal. It was like someone flipped a switch and suddenly they were done. And I sat down and I talked to them about what was going on, and they told me they were feeling frustrated because they felt like they understood the directions and they had to sit and wait for all the people who didn't understand. So on their suggestion, we came up with a signal system where they had these little cards that were red on one side and green on the other. And when I started giving directions, they would put the red side up on their desk. And as I talked, as soon as they felt like they understood what needed to be done, they would flip to green. And when I saw that most of the class was on green, that was my cue to start checking in individually with the people still on red and let the green people get to work. And the best part was, because it was their solution, not only did they buy into it, but it built this community where when someone on green saw that someone nearby was red, they would lean over and offer that person help and become each other's teachers. So sometimes I didn't even really need to follow up with the people on red because the people on green were taking care of it. It wasn't a solution that worked for every class. And certainly when you allow students this much control over the procedures and the expectations, you'll end up with classes that look very different from each other, which can be more work for you as a teacher. But it's not about what's less work for the teacher, it's about what works for the students. So even though the solutions may be different in every classroom, you'll have a really well-functioning classroom every hour, even if they're all radically different from each other.
Support provided by the Meemic Foundation. More information at meemicfoundation.org.